Going on there, peoples? Enjoying this Wednesday afternoon. Some of you folks in the East Coast, it's already what is it? Already 4, close to 5 o'clock already. Um, I apologize for changing the times a few times. I was at an appointment and the time kept changing, or not. Excuse me. I kept changing the time because I wasn't done at the appointment. I was there for a few hours, and then uh, I came in a little late because I had trouble finding any uh, Wi-Fi. I couldn't tap in. So I see what's real. Send mine's brother up to you to Canada. I see Tim Hennessy. What's going on, Timmy Hen, all the way from the IE. You're probably in LA right now, right? At work, I imagine. Appreciate everybody else for tapping in, that's watching, and anybody else that comes back and watches this live later. It's not going to be very long. I don't have a whole lot of battery on here, and I'll do what I can do. But just wanted to talk about, for one, the topic is something about what I put there, disappointment again or something like that. Unfortunately, this team of mine. Okay, cool. You got off already. Drive home safely. This team of mine in the AFC West. I kind of had a conversation a little bit before about this, but just major disappointment. Back-to-back weeks now. Up 20-0 and still end up losing. And I remember that 2-point conversion by the Cardinals. Man, he just Murray just. I mean, he literally had like 15 seconds, and that's one Mississippi, two Mississippi. I counted about, and with that way, one Mississippi, two Mississippi, because I played it back a few times. One Mississippi, two Mississippi had like 12 seconds. When I went 1,000, 1,000, he had about 14 seconds. It was just ridiculous how he went from one side of the field to the other side, one sideline to the other sideline, and a couple guys almost grabbed him, but he got away from that, and then he ends up running it in. He didn't throw it in, he ran it in. It's just it's comical, it's embarrassing. Everybody was hyped up. Devontae Adams, week 1, he did his thing. I know he grabbed a touchdown Sunday. Just week in, week out, man. It's just we got Josh McDaniels from New England. He came from that system, that winning system, with Belichick, and he brought some of his coaches over. And I know there's a few players that he ended up signing as well. But we got Devontae Adams, we got Chandler Jones. Those were the two big acquirers, acquisitions we got, and then we also, Crosby's contract extension, and also Waller. They're going to stay in Oakland. What's going on there, Puffy? Just disappointing, man. It's just, here we are, Juice. Here the Carr's going to hook back up with his college teammate, and who was already one of the top probably 3 wide receivers in the league, if not the best. Some people said he was the best, right? I kind of agree with that. But then again, look at the quarterback he had throwing to him. Derek Carr's proved that he can, that he can sling that ball. Last week 1 was terrible as far as ball protection. This week, again, up 20-0 on all unanswered points. It's just, I don't understand, man. And then in the press conference, after the game, coach, McDaniels, the type of answers he's given, I don't dig it. And of course, Derek Carr is always going to be like, it starts with me. He puts everything on him all the time, which I get that. But at some point, Derek Carr don't call his own plays. So, Derek Carr doesn't, for example, he's not on the defense end at all. He has nothing to do with the defense end of the ball. If guys are fumbling the ball and not protecting the ball in their end, he has nothing to do with any of that. To hustle and block and tackle, Derek Carr has nothing to do with none of that. You know what I mean? So it's something else with the the way McDaniel's answering questions. I don't dig it. It's more nonchalantish. Um, he also said that when they asked it's just everybody was juiced for the season. Everybody thought. I mean, look, last year we made the playoffs, 10-7. We had a winning season. We had 3 wins better than 500. This year I was expecting at least 11 and last year we were 10-7. This year I was hoping for at least 11-6, if not 12-5. Cool, you know what I mean? But damn, so far we're already 0-2. James Jameson, what's going on there? Appreciate you stopping by. And just Yanks, what's up, man? It's just bullshit. It's just bull. It's just disappointing, bro. It's season after season after season, and some people don't get it. It's just it's something else, man. Meanwhile, our division, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, I'm not really sure what's going on with the Broncos right now, but definitely the Chargers and the Chiefs are going to be tough. The Broncos, you would figure at the start of the season they'd be tough because they got Russell Wilson now back there, right? They made a few moves here and there, but definitely the Chiefs and the Chargers are definitely strong. They were strong last year. The Chargers and the Raiders came down to that last game, back and forth. So it is what it is with that, man. But I had to get that out a little bit. We can move on to. I want to talk. I dropped a video earlier on the trilogy, the Triple G and Canelo fight as well. That fight ended up turning out to be a big disappointment as far as revenue. They only sold 550,000 to 575,000. Basically, what they're saying is they didn't even break even. They're saying the fighters were guaranteed a certain amount of money. My football team's been crap since the 80s. Well, yeah, I mean, shit. My team, last time they won the Super Bowl was 83-84 against the Redskins. Since then, we've been back to the Super Bowl once, 2002, 2003, which we got our asses whooped, because we went up against our old coach who knew, not only did he know all the plays like people say, but Tampa, you can't take nothing away from Tampa Bay's defense. They were already number one defense against all the other teams in the league. So it wasn't so much that they already knew the plays and Gruden knew the plays. It was their hell of a players as well on the defense end of the ball. But yeah, since my team went to the Super Bowl, since they went to the Super Bowl last time in 2002, 2003, they've only been to the playoffs twice. They've only had 2 winning seasons since 2002, 2003. They had a 12-4 season in 2016, and they had a 10-7 season last year. Both times we were beaten the first round. 2016, Carr gets hurt. He's in the game that he shouldn't have been in there. Ends up breaking his fibula, the biggest bone in your body. And it took him a couple seasons, I believe, to get back in the thick of things where he was kind of scared. I don't want to say really scared, but he was a little more timid back there. Triple G made big money. No, they're saying they didn't make big money. Not this last fight. You're talking about 1 and 2. Yeah, they made huge money, but you've got to take in consideration not Canelo, but Triple G was 40 years old, and the last time they fought was 4 years ago. So if you look at Triple G's last 2 outings, yeah, Triple G still has 2 belts right now at middleweight, right? He's still the champion at middleweight. Triple G went up to fight Canelo at 168. So he still has Triple G lost, but he still has his 2 belts, the WBA Super and the IBF at 160 pounds, which is middleweight. And then Charlo has the WBC and the WBO. I'm not sure who has that one. But I'll tell you right now, the WBO belt is Charlo has the WBC. Let's see. So Janet Beck, Alamic Hanuli. He's got the WBO. He's got the WBO belt, and he only has 12 pro fights with 8 knockouts. He won the belt. He just won the belt a couple of weeks ago, the 22nd or 26th of August. Okay, so Triple G has the WBA Super, and Lara, Irislandi Lara has the WBA regular at middleweight, right? And then the IBF, let's see who has the IBF, because IBF, I'm pretty sure it's got to be Golovkin. Golovkin got the IBF as well as the WBA Super. Yeah, it's Golovkin. So Golovkin now is 42 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. Both losses to Canelo and the draw to Canelo. He's got 37 knockouts in 45 pro fights. Pretty good. Pretty good. And then let's see. So Canelo, yeah, so the Jameson, they were saying, I mean, Canelo is on a guarantee he gets, yeah. So between the 2 fighters, they said it was $75 million towards the 2 fighters. And from what I read a couple different articles. They didn't even break even. They're saying, the promoters had to eat some money there. What it is just a lot of people weren't even really, real true boxing. Guys that like to watch boxing, they're gonna watch it. People are gonna come and watch it. If you get it at your house pay-per-view, and either you just invite a bunch of people over, or you got drinks and food. Maybe you might charge people $5 a piece, $10. I don't know. I've heard different things from people, but a lot of people weren't even looking forward to that because, like I said earlier, Triple G knocked out Maruda, Japanese dude, for the WBA belt, the WBA Super belt. But Triple G didn't even look like the Triple G that everybody's used to seeing. No footwork, no head movement. It was just he ended up TKO, and the ref ended up getting involved and stopping it. Like I said, though, I mean, a boxer has a puncher's chance anyways. But on top of all that, when you get older, the last thing that leaves you is your power. And Triple G's got power and he's got a chin, right? Because as you can see from the first 2 fights with Canelo, he's took some shots. Both of them took shots from each other. That most fighters would be, if not knocked down, they would, not knocked out, not knocked down, but at least be dazed and hurt, wobbly, little noodle legs and stuff like that, spaghetti legs. But Triple G's also took some good shots from Daniel Jacobs. You know what I mean? Triple G also is going to go down as one of the greatest middleweights in this modern era, in the four belt era. Definitely, he has a lot of defenses at the middleweight. Defending his title. I don't know where he fits on the all-time middleweight list, but as far as the modern era, the 4 belt era, he's definitely going to be up there. They said since 2018, the last time he fought Canelo, they said that all his opponents been mediocre, mid-level fighters, which is pretty true. But the thing is, you run out of opponents after a while. Just like Roy Jones back in the day. Roy Jones ran out of guys at 168, super middleweight. Then he went up to light heavyweight, and eventually he ran out of guys. But then, at one point there, I think he was still super middleweight when he ran out of guys. And then he went up to light heavyweight, and eventually he got, Tarver and Glenn Johnson and different guys knocked him out. Maybe he should have retired definitely before that, It is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, the next big fight for me is Joseph Parker and Big Joy Joyce. Yeah, that's a good one coming up. Then you also got Wilder's gonna fight Helios, something like that. And I believe the winner of that Wilder fight is gonna be the mandatory fighter for Fury again. See that? So just like what I was saying earlier about, Golovkin ran out of opponents. Roy Jones ran out of opponents. That's what's happening here in the heavyweight, because the heavyweight division, you got obviously the champs, right? You got 2 guys that hold all the belts. You got Fury, who holds the WBC belt, and he's also the lineal champion. Again, I mentioned this earlier in the video, and I've mentioned it many times before. When somebody's the lineal champion, that's only a name. There's no belt for it. And the reason that basically means you're the man now because you beat the man. And so if everybody remembers, Fury beat Klitschko, right? So that Klitschko was the man at the time. So now that makes Fury the man. So before he fought Wilder, he didn't have a belt, an actual belt, right? And he was considered a lineal. And I remember I mentioned this earlier today in the video. Wilder was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And so Max Kellerman was breaking it down for everybody. So, anyways, Fury has the WBC heavyweight title. Then you got Usyk has everything else: WBA, WBO, IBF, and then he also carries around that IBC belt, which is not a major title. It's a title, it's a belt, it's gold. There's been some big name guys that have held that title at not at heavyweight, but at just in their respective weight class. Bernard Hopkins is one. Triple G's, matter of fact, Triple G's held it. Nobody beats Father Time. Triple G, yeah, well, depends, man. Depends. You got some guys, like I said, man. They got a fighter's chance off top, and then the power's the last thing to go. So you rock the shit out of somebody. Look at George Foreman was 42, 44 when he beat Michael Moore. Those were just straight. That was just straight left jab and wasn't it just like kind of like a left jab and then an overhand right, and you put him down, right? You had Pacquiao drop Thurman and took his belt. There's been other guys over the years, but yeah, most of the time, man, and that goes for all sports. Usually when guys hit 38, 37, 38, 39, for sure 40, that's usually, it's usually time to call it off, But yeah, back to what I was saying, the heavyweights. So you got Wilder, you got the two champions, right? Fury and Usyk, right? Those are the champions. They have all four belts between the two guys. You got Wilder still there. You got Joseph Parker, who beat Andy Ruiz for the WBO title when he had the WBO title. He beat Andy Ruiz, and then Anthony Joshua ended up beating Parker for the belt. Okay, you got Joseph Parker. You got Anthony Joshua still there. You got Andy Ruiz there. You got Joe Joyce. You got that other guy that's going to fight Wilder, Ilias, right? And I would even still put probably after you name all those guys, and then Ortiz would probably go there. Now Ortiz is getting older too, so he's already in his 40s. But the fight against Charles Martin, he didn't look all that good. He ended up coming back and knocking him out. But again, that the power is the last thing to go. You know what I mean? So he's been beaten out twice by Wilder, now once by Ruiz Ortiz. You know what I mean? And you still got Dillian White too, but he didn't look, to me. Dillian White's been knocked around a few times, right? Then Anthony Joshua beat him. Fury just beat him last, and then you had that other dude beat him, Povetkin, and Dillian was putting him on him, and then he caught him. Boom, knocked him out. Big George Foreman, fair comment move. Okay, White's still dangerous. The lineage has been broken a half dozen times. Who beat Lennox Lewis? Yeah, Lennox Lewis. Didn't Lennox Lewis retire on top? Or did Klitschko beat him? No, he beat Klitschko. Yeah, that's a good question right there. So I don't know how did Klitschko get the lineal title then? You're right. That's a good question. But they were calling Tyson Fury the lineal champion. Or they call him the lineal champion. Let me see. You know what? That's a good question there, because I don't know who beat Lennox Lewis. I could have swore Lennox Lewis went out on top. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Okay. Furious lineage only goes back to Klitschko. Yeah, you're right. So maybe did they start it over then? Maybe that's what happened. So we got Lennox. So that's how it goes. It goes Rockmont. It goes Lennox Lewis. Okay, let's go back to Muhammad Ali, 79. So it goes Muhammad Ali, then Larry Holmes, then Michael Spinks, then Mike Tyson, then Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Michael Moore, George Foreman, Shannon Briggs, Lennox Lewis, Rasim Rahman, Lennox Lewis again, 42, and then Klitschko, 43, and then now Fury. So um, he had two defenses and two opponents, so he was 2 for 2. Yeah, that's so they must have when Lewis retired, they must have stripped him of it, and then it was Klitschko. I guess automatically got it because he was beating everybody for a while there. I guess that's a good. I mean, I guess that's the only real way to do it, though. I mean, if somebody retires, I guess you just like a belt. I guess somebody retires, yeah, they get to keep the belt for the collection, and then the belt becomes vacant, and then they'll have a match for a bout for the vacant title. You know what I mean? We're talking about a possible Golovkin Lara fight now. Lara, my favorite active fighter, I think he edged Golovkin. Oh yeah, because he's a boxer. He's more of a boxer, right? Um, I want to see Danny Garcia fight him, Lara. Um, I think matter of fact, I even heard Danny Garcia mention something about that fighting at a catch weight though, 155 or something. Well, let's see, junior middleweight is 154, so I think I heard him say 155. What's up, Westies? When Lewis retired, they started over with Klitschko. Think it was Vladimir. Yeah, it was Vladimir. Yeah, that's definitely what had to happen because Lennox Lewis went out on top. I got Lennox. Me personally, if you ask me, I think Lennox Lewis would beat Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I think he's also a bigger guy, 6'5". He's thicker. He's not as muscular as Anthony Joshua, but he's still got pretty good size. He's a thick dude. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you guys, I never really liked Lennox Lewis. I didn't like. Part of it was I didn't like the fact how he represented Canada in the Olympics, and then later he tried to come back. Well, he didn't try. He did. Came back as an Englishman, British. And even the country they didn't dig it either. They were saying he wasn't really English, and but he's really Jamaican. Not really. Excuse me. His bloodline is Jamaican, and then they went to England, and then he went to Canada. That's why they had the big thing with Frank Bruno and him to fight. That Frank Bruno was the real Englishman, and But I didn't really like Lennox Lewis. But when I seen Lennox Lewis beat a couple guys, one of them was Mike Tyson. He made me more of a believer, man. With his jab, the way he worked his jab. What happened was he just might have got a little cocky with Rahman and first McCall. When he got caught. But what I'd like about it is that he came back and both fights he avenged them with knockouts. Oliver McCall was strange. It was a TKO. The fight was stopped, but he knocked out Rahman with a punch. And Lennox Lewis, I think he was a beast. It's just, by the time he fought Mike Tyson was insane in the membrane a little bit. I would like to have seen the Mike fight him from the 80s, the late 80s, mid to late 80s. Well, he won the heavyweight title in 86, so let's say 87, 88, before Buster Douglas when he was, that Mike Tyson with all that head movement and the footwork and all that was a bad mother. Shut your mouth. You know what I mean? But I'm only talking about Iron Mike, He was bad. He was with it. When Casamata was teaching him all that footwork, head movement, all that stuff, I don't think any of them dudes could whoop him because he would have just beat him. He would have beat him to the punch. Because Mike Tyson's not a big dude. He's only 5'10", right? Well, he might be listed at 5'11". Yeah, he's got a little weight behind him, 220, whatever, 218, 222. But, compared to Lex Lewis, 6'5", anything 6'3" and under, I think is cool for Tyson. But Lennox Lewis, 6'5", right? And then you got all these new wave, these heavyweights now, Wilder 6'7", Joshua 6'6", Fury even bigger than that, 6'9", 6'8". I don't know how Tyson would have fared with them, but I would have liked to definitely have seen those fights earlier on than when they end up happening with Tyson and Lewis. I also would have liked to have seen him fight Riddick Bowe. You know what I mean? Riddick Bowe ended up just tossing away the belt. You know, and that's why people were giving Lennox Lewis a bad time as well, because he ended up basically, I think they just gave him the belt. I don't even think he fought for a vacant title when Riddick Bowe was stripped of that belt. I'm not sure what belt that was. I think it was the WBA. Can you help me out with that, Tim Egan? Was it the WBA that they stripped, or that Riddick Bowe said the hell with, and then they turned around and gave it to Lennox Lewis? Might have been the. You know what? I think it was the WBC. Anyways, I would have liked to have seen those fights, or at least him and Mike end up fighting. Riddick Bowe and him didn't fight. But if you look at Lennox Lewis' resume as well, at the time he was fighting everybody. Tua, he fought David Tua, he fought Shannon Briggs, he fought Michael Grant, he fought everybody. Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, the Klitschko's. Did he fight Tommy Morrison? I believe Tommy Morrison, WBC, I think, belt through in the bin. Yeah, I think it was the WBC. Pretty sure. Yeah, Lennox Lewis has a hell of a resume, man. When I was making my heavyweight list, I was supposed to do a show a long time ago. This is before we had the No Fly Zone or this channel. I was supposed to go on with Bay 8th, and we were gonna rank our top 15 heavyweights. And when I was trying to do that, I was looking at everybody's resumes, who they fought, and a lot of heavyweights don't have a lot of, like, well, obviously, like Rocky Marciano and Joe Louis. There's only certain guys on the list that I recognize their names, because this is way before my time. But Larry Holmes' resume stuck out to me. Obviously, Muhammad Ali, but Larry Holmes' resume stuck out to me, and Lennox Lewis has stuck out to me. You know, plus they both have nice jabs that they use, to set up their punch. But Larry Holmes had a hell of a jab, and he was on top for many years. Michael Spinks came in there and got him out of there, took the IBF belt, and then they rematched. He beat him again, and then he was considered a lineal champion, and then I believe the belt got taken from him, stripped from Michael Spinks, and then when Tyson fought him, it was for the lineal title, and then I believe Tony Tucker had won it in a vacant for the vacant IBF title. What up, Buzz? What's happening, bro? I've been trying to man, it's been hard, bro. I was sick for a couple of weeks, man. I missed out on a lot of people's shows, and I think you've been busy too with work and things. I don't even think you had been doing videos. But Joe Louis is the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. I don't put him above Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, Joe De La Mura. What's going on? Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston, Joe Louis, Ken Norton, George Foreman, Ernie Shavers. He fought. Didn't he fight Ron Lyle too? I believe. He's Leon Spinks. He's got. I don't know. I can't put him above Muhammad. Nah, took a step back for a bit. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, man. I was sick. I was in bed for literally 2 weeks. You know what I mean? What up? Let's see. And then when you look at like excuse me, was it Joe Frazier? Yeah, Joe Frazier. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, he fought Muhammad Ali 3 times. He fought George Foreman twice. And then I think that's pretty much it as far as the greats. I don't think he fought Ken Norton. But can you help me out with that one, Egan? See, Holmes, great fighter with a great jab, was known to thumb off the jab too. Oh, was he? I didn't even know that. Lucky Loco. Let me know, anybody, if you want to tap on in. I'll drop the link. Let's see. I know they got I think they set it for Crawford Spence fight. I think it's set for November 19th. Um I got Crawford in that. I've been a big Crawford. I've been digging Crawford since I seen him fight Gamboa. Um I think Crawford is a master at adjusting midway through the fight, and as he adjusts, he makes big, huge improvements. He scores with the judges. Gamboa was whooping him. Gamboa was smashed, knocking him around, dropping him, and then uh, he went southpaw, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I heard somebody say that he's been hurt a couple times, but I seen Spence get hurt by Kell Brook. That was for the title. I seen him get hurt with Ugas. I seen him get hurt with Sean Porter a little bit. You know what I mean? So I got Bud. I got Bud Crawford on this one. Joe Louis was champion for 80 years. Great technicality. Head knock you smooth out. Yeah, I'm not. No, don't get me wrong. Joe Louis is up there, but I'm just saying in my book, yeah, see, Frazier and Norton never fought. They were close. Yeah, I didn't think so. So am I correct on that off the top of my head, Egan? If you remember, Frazier fought Ali 3 times. He fought Foreman twice, right? And I believe he's won out of those 5 fights. He's 1-4, right? He beat Ali. That was Ali's first loss, and I believe Ali won 2 and 3, second and third fight. And Foreman took the title from him, knocking him everywhere. The first one, and then the second one he knocked him out as well. So I believe he's 1-4 in those 5 fights against those 2 guys. And then other than that, what other big names did he fight? Off the top of my head, that's all I can think of right now. I know he didn't fight. I don't think he fought Ron Lau, or Shavers. And you just said right there he didn't fight Norton. Shavers knocked out Norton, didn't he? What do you think, though? What do you think in the welterweight bout? Do you think this welterweight bout with Spence and Crawford is as big as do you believe it's like a De La Hoya Trinidad fight as far as the build up, or do you think it's more like a Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns? I met Smoking Joe Louis in Philly meet and greet in 2005. No, Smoking Joe Louis? You mean no? Joe Louis was gone already. He passed already. You talking about Smoking Joe Frazier? I think Joe Louis died in the 80s. I think. Joe Frazier, yeah, because yeah, Joe Louis died in the 80s. I think it was the 80s, sometime in the 80s. Joe Frazier. Let me see. I'm gonna see who Joe Frazier fought. Yeah, that's cool. Joe Frazier, yeah. Let's see. He passed in 2011. Let's see, 56. He was only 67 years old, man. That was young. You seen him in Philly, yeah, because he's from Philly. Let's see. Okay. 37 pro fights. He's 32 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. That's Joe Frazier. So his last fight he drew with Floyd Cummings. His the 2 fights before that was a loss to Foreman and a loss to Ali. Okay, he beat Jimmy Ellis. That's a good one. Jerry Quarry. That's a good one. Then he lost to Ali. He lost to Foreman. Let's see what other names stick out to me. He beat Ali in his 27th fight. Bob Foster. Jimmy Ellis. He beat Jimmy Ellis twice. Oh, he beat Jerry Quarry twice. Jimmy Ellis twice. Oscar Bonavena and Manuel Ramos. Oh, he beat Buster Mathis. Okay, so he's got some twice he beat Oscar Bonavena. So okay, he's got some guys there. Joe Frazier cleared out the division when Ali was banned. Then he beat Ali in their first fight. Yeah. I like Crawford too. Think it will be an action-filled chess match. Yeah. Well, see, the thing with they're both well, Spence is a southpaw, right? But Crawford can fight orthodox and southpaw. But I just believe that when from the times I've seen Spence get in a little trouble, I believe that uh Crawford's gonna, you know, let's keep it real. Ugas ain't no fighter like Crawford, right? Kell Brooks is not he's not like Crawford. You know what I'm saying? From what Crawford showed, that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I believe that if he gets him hurt, that he's gonna know what to do and he's gonna handle it. And I just think that uh, I don't know. I don't. I heard one day they were going around Mayweather gym. Jeff Mayweather was going around, and he has his little channel too, right? And I believe that gym that he's in there, I believe that's his nephew's gym. I think I could be wrong about that, but he started asking. He does the hypothetical questions or the what ifs, dream matches or whatever, and he asked Spence, and this is back before Spence beat Garcia, before he beat Porter, before he beat Ugas. This was when I believe he only had the IBF title at the time. And yeah, because he beat Ugas for the WBA, right? And he beat Sean Porter for the WBC. Yeah, he was only IBF welterweight title at the championship. He only had the IBF welterweight title at the time. And the question was, Spence now and Trinidad in his prime. I don't. Well, I mean, I'm being biased as well. Favoritism was, Trinidad was my favorite fighter growing up at that time, but I don't see Spence beating Trinidad. I think Trinidad. I see Spence dropping him maybe early in the second round, third round, but Trinidad sometimes was a very slow starter, and he would get dropped a lot, and he would get up and handle his business. I don't see him. I think he had enough speed and enough defense to handle that. Plus, his punching power was, off the hook at welterweight. I don't see, like from what I've seen, that's my opinion. And of course, me being Puerto Rican and Trinidad being Puerto Rican, I'm being biased there, showing favoritism. But it's just one of them things we'll never know. We'll never know what'll happen. You know what I mean? But do you believe, though, in your opinion, anybody here, but Tim Egan, because I know you're a boxing historian, but James Jameson, Westies, if you guys know, or you guys, feel free to comment. Do you believe that this fight, welterweight, this is a unification bout for all the marbles, right? Whoever wins is undisputed at welterweight. I don't believe it's ever. No, I don't think it's ever happened I don't think it's happened at the 3-belt era, and definitely not the 4-belt era. But do you believe this fight's going to be as big as Trinidad De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns? My boxing coach back in the day would say, "Hit him hard and hit him often." Yeah, the rest he came across that way. 40s. Oh, what was that? Joe Bahu, Maximilian helped Joe Louis later in his life. The IRS destroyed Joe Louis for a World War II expedition fight. Yeah, that was a thing too. I mean, it's still, even nowadays, boxing don't have a retirement like baseball, football, basketball, hockey. They got a pension, a retirement, and all that. Boxing does not have that. Pro wrestling does not have that. You know what I mean? MMA does not have that. So you have to use your money wisely. So just imagine back then, they weren't getting paid nothing like they get paid now. And then at the same time, I'm pretty sure they were getting, probably hotel rooms and dinners and stuff like that. Gambling, allowed to gamble for whatever when they're fighting. But, that's why I give Floyd Mayweather Jr. a lot of credit, because he changed the game, get hit less and make more money, because he's seen what the beatings, back in the day, fighting, people, they went in and fought like those, what was it, 3 rounds with Hearns and Hagler. It's like the 3 greatest rounds ever in boxing. I mean, these dudes were just going toe to toe. The hell with using the jab to set up shit. You've seen that didn't work for Hearns long at all. But, guys were taking damage. Look at the ones that come to my mind all the time when I think, even Hearns, when you hear his speech a little bit, but Holyfield, it seems like he's a little slow sometimes. Terry Norris definitely. Then you have Meldrick Taylor is not doing well when it comes to that. You also have Donald the Cobra Curry. His family reached out for a GoFundMe to help with his medical bills. You can still look at uh, Wilfredo Benitez. He's like a kind of like, I don't really want to say a vegetable, but he's like all jacked up, and his mom was taking care of him. She passed away in Puerto Rico, and then now he lives in Chicago with his sister. This guy he's the youngest world champion ever, 17 years old. And by 25, 26, they were talking about he was shot out, burnt, because he started so young and he took a lot of punishment. You got to use your money wisely, man. You can't just be spending like a wild man. And that's part of the reason I talk about when I say about, I don't hate on nobody making their money, but when you got a guy like Logan Paul, goes in there, fights Mayweather, he makes, off top $5 million, $10 million, I mean, like I said, I don't hate on him making the money, but it just makes me think about all those fighters back in the day that fought many years and they accomplished, 2 weight classes, 3 weight classes, multiple championship titles, and they weren't even given the opportunity to make money like that. You know what I'm saying? Timo DeVille, what up, man? Wrestling back then didn't get nothing as well. Yeah, that's why I did mention that already. Wrestling, James mentioned, but I don't think that the odds will be any good. Sadly, Joe, yeah, she never did bring that shit. I think Tyson, no, as far as Tim Egan, yeah, well, yeah, fan interest and yeah, the build up from the fan, from all the build up. Let's see. Mayweather, one of the greatest and the best, the smartest boxer, businessman. Yeah, definitely boxer, businessman, of course. And then that was another thing too. Remember, I think he buy himself out of Top Rank with Bob Arum, and that's when he started Money Mayweather Promotions or TMT, whatever. I don't. Yeah, definitely boxer, businessman. He's got to be number one. And I think boxer, businessman De La Hoya's got to be up there too, but De La Hoya, sometimes he makes, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know, man. Sometimes the things I hear De La Hoya say is outlandish sometimes. Like, he's already making comments about Canelo again. I don't know how true that is, but I thought the title, Talking Your Squad, I thought you were talking about. Yeah, that's why I started off talking about the Raiders, so, but I'm not gonna give you the pleasure of going over it again. Mayweather was never undisputed. No, he wasn't. Matter of fact, I got a little short video that I got on this channel where I asked the question. I go, "What's a greater accomplishment, going 50-0, obviously Mayweather, or Manny Pacquiao, 8-division world champion?" And not only that, did he win 8? He's an 8-division world champion. He also won multiple titles at multiple divisions. I think the count is, I think total. Major. Now I'm talking major world titles: WBC, WBA Super, IBF, and WBO titles. I believe the count is close too. I believe Mayweather. I think Mayweather has 1 or 2 more belts won than Pacquiao. It's like 15-13 or something like that, 14-12 or something like that. But majority of Mayweather's belts were WBC titles, from the ones that he shows that he has laid out, like when he does photo ops and stuff. But like Canelo, I think now Canelo, well, just look at it. Canelo went up. He's got 1 title. He won at light heavyweight, right? When he took, was at the IBF, he took from Kovalev. And then he's got all the belts right now at 168, right? He's got 4, right? WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF. And then he's got the light heavyweight. That's 5 belts. Then he got a couple at middleweight, right? And he has a couple at junior middleweight. So I think Canelo has I think he's around that same amount of titles won by Mayweather and Pacquiao. Saw Prince Nassim Hamed fight in Atlantic City in 2001, and it was his first loss. That's when he lost to Marco Antonio Barrera. Marco Antonio Barrera made him look silly. You know, and he had a battle with Kevin Kelly and with Wilfredo Vasquez. Wilfredo Vasquez was a little bit older at the time, but those were definitely some good fights right there. I think him and Kevin Kelly put each other both down a few times. Yeah, prayers for Puerto Rico and all the surrounding islands in the Caribbean and anywhere else that the hurricane might have did some damage. Um, yeah, yeah. I watched that fight not too long ago. Westy's uh, Barrera wasn't playing. He went in there with vengeance. I mean, well, he didn't even have vengeance. He just didn't like the shit talking, and him and Eric Morales, they didn't like each other either when they fought. You know, now they're friends, but it is what it is. Um, yeah, yeah. I try to remember. There's sometimes I write things down, but for the most part, like if I'm numbering something or I'll write something down, but for the most part, I remember. But Nassim Ahmed was pretty flashy. He lost that time. I believe after he lost to Barrera, he never fought again. I don't think. Now he's as big as a house. I don't know if you've seen pictures of him lately, but he's big. Matter of fact, his father died, and I think he lost interest. When Marco Barrera bashed the shit out of him, which was a great. You have a great memory. Ain't he from? Where's he from? Sheffield. I know his family originally is from Yemen, from the Middle East, and but he's born in England. Hard to believe that was 20 years ago. Yeah, was it 20 exactly, or what was it? 01. So yeah, 20 plus. Yeah, time flies, bro. Time flies. Um, there's so many fighters, man, that stick out to me from back then. When I was growing up as a kid, it was Julian Jackson, it was Casazoo, obviously Julio Chavez, it was Michael Nunn, Terry Norris, of course Hagler. Hagler was one of my favorites growing up. Of course, Mike Tyson sticks out to me. Yeah, Sheffield, yeah. Of course, Mike Tyson sticks out to me. Also, Daniel Zaragoza sticks out to me. Jorge Paez sticks out. I remember him. Jesse James Leja. Those names. The one little chubby dude. What was Egan? Do you remember Tim Egan from Argentina? He was kind of chubby. He kind of looked chubby. I think he was middleweight, I think, or junior middleweight. What's his name? I don't know. Help me out on that one if you can. He was from Argentina. Was it Castro? The Hawk Jackson could bang. Yeah, he was bad as fuck. Nigel Benn sticks out to me. Chris Eubank Sr. Um, I said Chavez already. Camacho. John Molina. Jake the Snake Rodriguez. Oh yeah, Alexis Aguero definitely. But I don't remember. I don't really remember at that point that when I started really paying attention to boxing. Aguero already had retired, I believe. Bam Bam. Boom Boom Mancini sticks out. I remember him very good back then when I started paying attention to boxing as a kid. Yeah, Roberto Duran. Yeah, he was a legend already when I was a kid. Iran Barkley. Trying to remember if Casazoo was already there or did he come a little bit after that. Benito Lopez. I remember him all through the 90s. Let's see. James Toney. Tony Tucker was always, I remember his name coming up a lot. Bone Crusher Smith, Pinklin Thomas, obviously Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks. Trevor Burbick. What was the guy's name that Tyson beat the title for? Guy Mike Tyson beat the heavyweight title for. Not recalling the Argentine. Let me see. It's not, what's the name? Let me see. It's not Carlos Monzon. It's not Sergio Martinez. This guy was, let me see. Uh, hmm. I gotta find that because it's gonna bother me. Larry Holmes. Yeah, I mentioned Larry Holmes. After Alexis Aguayo got beat by from Jackson, he retired and went home. Unfortunately, died fighting a civil war. Yeah, that was. Let's see. So we have Carlos Monzon, seems to be the greatest fighter from Argentina. Nicolino Loche, Sergio Martinez, uh, Omar Narvaez, Oscar Benavena, Victor Castro. I think it's Victor Castro. You remember that? You don't remember that name, Victor Castro? Uh, Carlos Baldomir. No, it's not Monzon. Oh yeah, here it is, right here. Jorge Castro. It's a different Castro. You don't remember Jorge Castro? I'll tell you right now what title, what belt, or what title he held. Larry Holmes was champion for fight. No, Larry Holmes was champion longer than that. Larry Holmes was champion for about 7 years, I think it was 7 or 8 years, because they gave him, he was the first IBF champion, heavyweight champion in 1978, and then he lost to Spinks in what, 80 something, 86, 80, 87, 80, something like 86, I think it was. So Jorge Castro, he was born in 1967, so he's 54 right now, 55, just turned 55, and he's best known for his who is best known for his second defense of the title against John David Jackson in '94. So he held, okay, Castro lost to Terry Norris by a wide unanimous decision and challenged for a WBC super welterweight title. It was reported that prior to the bout, Castro had done road work for the first time in his life. In '92, at the Civic Center in Pensacola, Florida, United States, Castro lost a wide decision over 10 rounds of future pound-for-pound king Roy Jones Jr. Castro became a world champion in '94 by defeating Reggie Johnson in Buenos Aires by split decision to win the vacant WBA middleweight title. After defeating Alex Ramos by a knockout in 2 rounds to retain the belt, he traveled to Monterrey, Mexico to defend against the former undefeated holder of the WBA title and John David Jackson in December '94. Yeah, so he's held the, well, let's see, he's fought for other titles too. Let's see. Castro has lost two more world championship fights in December 2000. He went to Germany and lost by a knockout in 10 rounds to WBC cruiserweight champion Juan Carlos Gomez. And in February 2002, he went to Phoenix and challenged IBF cruiserweight champion Vasily Jarov, a Kazakhstan native who lives in Phoenix, losing by decision in 12. So he's held the middleweight title, and he lost for the title 3 different times, different weight classes. Let's see. Yeah, Spinks was 80. Spinks was 85. Larry Holmes must have been champion between 78 and 85. Yeah. He had like I said, that he was the first heavyweight champion to hold the IBF Vaguely remember the name. Yeah, I always remember seeing him in the magazines because my brother is a big box. He's big on boxing, and I always remember my brother's magazines laying around, Ring magazine and whatever other boxing magazines. And I remember always seeing them in the magazines and also on the rankings. You know, I always seen that. See too many sanctioning bodies now. Yeah, and then like the heavyweight, you got Joshua first, Joshua, then you had Ruiz, and then Joshua, and then now Usyk. They're carrying around that IBC belt. You know what I mean? Which is not a major title. They don't even consider the WBA regular title as a major world title. The WBA regular. They only consider the WBA super as a major world title. So they don't consider the IBC. And for a long time, they weren't even counting the WBO. Remember, Nigel Benn was the WBO. Uh, I don't know if he was middleweight at the time or he was already super middleweight, but he had the WBO, and they didn't recognize that at that time. It was the three belt era. Now it's the four belt era because they count the WBO now. So what's the next one? The WBC is going to be. It's going to be a five belt era, and then you got two belts for the WBC. You got the super and the regular, and then the WBC's got the WC belt. Then they got the franchise belt. There's too many damn belts, and then there's different. If you're a franchise champion, you got different rules. Than WBC belt, and then you got the interims. Don't forget about the interims. You got guys that win a WBC interim title, and then when whoever holds the regular title comes back, now that guy don't even have the belt no more. It's weird. It's a lot of James is right. There's too many sanctioning bodies, man. It's I mean, if there was just the four period, no super like WBA, no super, just have one belt only, no super and regular. WBC they got a franchise belt. It's hella it gets confusing, and like I just mentioned, all the interim champions. Oh, he's the WBC interim middleweight champion. From May of 2020 till July of 2020, because the guy came back who had the belt. It's a trip. Frankie Sanchez is a corner. Frankie Sanchez is a corner. Oh, is a comer at heavyweight. Good boxer. Okay, Frankie Sanchez. Frankie Sanchez. I'll have to look into that. There's so many boxers, man. It's the MMA the other day. They had an event. I don't know if they coined it 279 or not this past weekend, but I didn't recognize any of the names, so I didn't even do a video on that. There's a lot of names that I don't. There's so many. It's hard to keep up on everything. There's so many names. There were so many fights. I think there was like 5 or 6 fights total on that card. I didn't recognize any of the names. I didn't do, like I said, I didn't do a video. And two, you'll see me too if I do a boxing video. If I do a boxing video or if I do an MMA video and there's names on the card, like say there's only, besides the main event, maybe there's one fight or two fights where I at least know of one of the fighters, one of the opponent, one of the combatants, then I'll do the video. I'll add them in there, like I did a few weeks back with the uh, Jack Badu Jack fought, and also Caleb Smith fought, and I added them on the Usyk. I think that was the Usyk card. And I spoke about them, but the other people that were on the card I never heard of, so I didn't go there. But it's everybody just trying to get their shine on, get through, whatever promotion they're in. They're trying to shine, which is all good in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? But as far as let's see, question: what is boxing's oldest sanctioning body? Bonus point if you name their first champion. It's that's a good question because I always thought it was WBC, but I believe WBA is the oldest one. I believe. And you're saying their first champion period overall period. Uh, I don't know. I don't know, but I believe it's WBA. What do you think, Tim Egan? Is it WBA or WBC? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's WBA, but the WBC seemed like to always have the. It seemed like the green belt was always put first, but I'm pretty sure it's WBA. First champion, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to Google it. I don't know. Let's see. Sounds like Badu Jack got a gift decision over Richard Papa Rivera. Yeah, uh, that's what it kind of seemed like to me. Yeah, he ended up going the distance, and then um, Caleb Smith ended up knocking the dude out. It was a French guy. I can't think of his last name right now. Or I can't even pronounce it, to be honest with you. So it was Jack Dempsey against George Carpentier, heavyweight championship bout in New Jersey. WA was formed by representatives from 13 American states, including Sam Milner, to counterbalance the influence that the New York State Athletic Commission wielded. So I believe it's the WBA has two championships, a regular and a super title holder. Who has held all boxing belts? So far it's been Bernard Hopkins, middleweight, Usyk at cruiserweight, Jermaine Taylor at middleweight, Terrence Crawford at junior welterweight, Josh Taylor at junior welterweight, and Canelo Alvarez right now. And then you got Devin Haney as well. That's the four belt era. Has any boxer held all five belts? I guess that counts the IBC too, I guess. Because once, like, Pacquiao was a WBA regular, and then when he beat Thurman, Thurman was a WBA super. He took the belt, and the WBA regular became available, vacant. So you can't even hold both WBA belts at the same time. Correct, WBA Jack Dempsey. Yeah. So I got the WBA right, but not the fighter. Sounds like Badu Jack got a gift. Yeah, I already read that. I read it already, and I was answering it again. What the hell? Anyways, what do you think with what do you think is gonna go with Conor McGregor? You think he's gonna come? He's gonna come back, and who's he gonna fight? I mean, he's looking yoked right now. He looks real thick. Uh, I know he normally fought at what 155, I believe, lightweight, right? 170 is welterweight. So is he fighting at 170? 185 is middleweight, and then what 205 is light heavy. So I don't know if he's fighting at middleweight or middleweight title, or excuse me, middleweight division. I believe he fights middleweight, he'll get clobbered. I believe that's too heavy. He's got to either be welterweight 170, and he's not going to go back down to what he used to be because he's older now. So I don't know where that puts him, man. As far as what's the options for him? I mean, obviously he's got a big name. Whoever he fights is going to be whoever that. A lot of guys are going to want to take that fight because the name. They're going to make a lot more money probably than they ever did thus far because of the name. Um, is he going to fight Nate Diaz for their trilogy? Because the first one he got tapped out. Second one you could say it was real close. The second one, or does he fight Masvidal? Or does he fight uh, what's his name? Leon Edwards for the title at welterweight? Does he wait until Leon and Usman run it back? What do you guys think? You guys are up in into UFC Nate Diaz, looks like Nate Diaz is going to take on, from the way he was talking, and he's going to take on either boxing, or he might even start some type of promotion, fight, not promotion, but, well, he might promote an event. He might be putting on events, maybe, from the way he spoke. Because I heard him say something about he want to box, he want to do other things. He said kickboxing, then he kind of retracted from that and kind of said, well, they can fight on my, they can fight on his, on his event, something like that. He made a comment. Nate's already 37, so I don't know if Nate signs some type of deal, because like Masvidal signed. I heard Dana White say that Masvidal will be retiring from the UFC, so that means, because Masvidal still's got a name. He has a name too. He's got some good wins. He's got some good losses. The fights that he lost, they were top-notch contenders and champion he fought. So he said he, signed him to pretty much he's going to finish his career there at UFC. So Nate's 37. So is he going to get that same shot? Because Dana White said that UFC will always be his home. So, does he give him a 3-fight contract, 5-fight contract over 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, something like that, where, he can stretch out his fights, because, he gets cut easy and stuff like that. And he's like, he's not getting younger. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Leon Rocky Edwards. What about Leon Rocky Edwards? You think he's going to fight, that McGregor's going to fight him? You know what I trip out to about Henry, how do you say his name? Cejudo in Spanish. I trip out on him that he's always critiquing everybody, it's a trip, it's funny. It's funny. I think he was the one that beat, isn't he one? He's the one that beat, Mighty, was his name Mighty Mouse? The little dude, Johnson? Dude used to be all over the place, right? Nobody could mess with him. Is Henry the one that beat him for his belt? And then yesterday I was watching some highlights of what's his name? Jose Aldo's career, man. That dude he was a beast. I mean, I remember some of those fights. I just didn't remember him until I seen him. But when he was in that other promotion before he came to UFC, dude, that dude was he was quick, and dropping that hammer fist down left and right. He had a killer knee. I seen him knock a couple guys out with knees. Yeah, I know. Jameson, I had mentioned that earlier. WBC has a franchise belt. That's what I was saying. WBC has 2 belts, and WBA has 2 belts. And they have the franchise and the regular belt. And then when you have the franchise, different rules apply to you that don't apply. Different rules apply to the WBC regular champion as far as mandatories, and that don't apply to the franchise. I think so. Ernie beat Mighty Mouse. He's now his coach. Yeah, Henry beat Mighty Mouse. He's now his coach. Mighty Mouse is Henry's coach. But I don't know. Do you guys remember the first UFCs back when when you had Horace Gracie and Shamrock and Severn, and a little later Tank came in, and then Dan Fry. Those fights were crazy, man. A lot of them dudes would just go in there, and especially the strikers, they just go in there and just try to pound you. Squash, like what they would call in wrestling, pro wrestling, the squash matches. They try to go in there and just pound you and get you out of there, But then when you have 2 guys doing the same thing, it was like, it was crazy. And then Dan Severn was, a wrestler, and he would just try to get you on the ground and just smother the crap out of you. Horace Gracie, when Horace Gracie was fighting anybody, he would use his gi, his karate suit in his favor. They'd be trying to grab him, and then, little by little, the suit's getting looser on him, and that would help him put somebody in a hold, submission hold. You know what I mean? I think that's part of the reason. Well, part of the reason they got rid of it was because of that, but it was really to promote the gear they're wearing. You know what I mean? I think I went to UFC 1 and 2. Ooh, that was nice. So what years were those? I want to say that was like 90 what? 91, 92. The first one. I couldn't have been no more than like 12, 13 years old, I believe. And then I watched the thing on Dana White was talking about when he bought the business, whoever owned it before was selling off everything. He was everything. He was selling everything. So when Dana White finally got it in his possession, it was a lot of stuff was, everything was, he had to pretty much build from nothing. 93 and 94. Oh, I thought it was farther back than that. So anyway, that's still 19 and 18, 19 years ago. Right. So I was more like 16 then. I love the Chuck Liddell fight. When did Chuck Liddell? Let me see, because I don't remember Chuck Liddell being around back then. Not when Hoist Gracie and them Shamrock. Chuck Liddell, yeah, but then you had Chuck Liddell, you had Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture. You had let's see. He fought light heavy. And then Iceman too, man. He started taking a lot of beatings when he got older, 29 years ago. What did I say? I said 1890. Yeah, my bad. It was 10 years on top of that. Thanks for the correction. He's an 8th Dan black belt in Kachukempo, black belt in Koen Kai karate, purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was a Division I wrestler in college. Kickboxing record, 20 wins, 16 by knockout, and 2 losses. Mixed martial arts record, he's 21 and 9. In his 9 losses, 7 of them were by knockout. So UFC early success. Liddell made his debut in the UFC in 98. UFC 17 in Mobile, Alabama, with a decision victory over Noe Hernandez. In his next bout, he faced Brazilian fighter Jose Pele Landy Johns. Let's see, Vitor Belfort, Renato Soto. He fought Couture at 43. He fought Rampage too. Let's see if we can't find his. He fought Evan Shogun. He's got a lot of good fighters on his resume. So he lost to Ortiz in his last fight. He beat Rich Franklin. I remember that name. Mauricio Rua, Rashad Evans. He lost his last. He lost his last 6 out of 7. He beat Vanderway Silva. That was the only win he had in that group. Keith Jardine. I remember he just kept kicking the crap out of his leg. Tito Ortiz, Ronaldo Sobo, Randy Couture, Vernon White, Tito Ortiz, Quentin Jackson, Alster Overeem. Oh, he fought him. Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort. He fought a couple guys a couple times over. But those guys are beasts back then. I remember Cub Swanson, Dan Henderson. I remember Cowboy Cerrone. That was one dude I used to see a lot and followed him. Those are the good old days of the UFC. And then I remember them going kind of blank. Like I didn't hear nothing for them for many years. And then when I started hearing about it again was when around this time when Liddell, late 90s. I want to say it was late 90s, maybe early 2000s when I started hearing UFC again. I wonder if the promotion stopped promoting for a minute, or they just fall in hard times where it was just bad, and that's when Dana White bought it. I'm not sure, but I remember Rampage Jackson, and Rashad Evans, and Vitor Belfort, Vanderway Silva, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo. Those are the old school names I remember. Couture, obviously Tito Ortiz. Benson, what was his name? Benson Henderson. I remember that dude. Uh, and then, of course, fast forward a little past all that, Dustin Poirier, uh, let's see, Michael Chandler, uh, TJ Dillashaw. Who was a McDonald? There was a guy too, McDonald. Yeah, Tank Abbott. There you go. So then the ones that went from UFC to wrestling was Tank Abbott, was also Dan Severn, and is that it? I believe that might have been it. And Ronda Rousey. And I don't know if you guys see now, Logan Paul, he's all in the mix, WWE. He looked like he found a good job now. To be honest, I think he's gonna blow up there at WWE. That kind of reminds me of the Miz. I remember the Miz when he was at I don't know if that was a power plant or whatever that was. I remember the first time seeing him, he was being trained to be a wrestler, and then I seen he made it. You know what I mean? So Logan Paul, but the thing with Logan Paul and Jake Paul, they're athletic already. You know, I don't believe that Logan Paul would have to even go be trained to wrestle. I think he would catch on real well as he goes. You know what I mean? I can see him definitely drawing. He's already doing it now. He's getting heat. You know, he's getting heat. I can see the angles. You know, I can see him being a big. I don't know if he would be a baby face or he's a heel. But he was talking about fighting Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is a heel now, so I don't know. If anybody don't know, heel means bad guy, baby face means good guy. That was in the kayfabe days. I don't even think they use those terms anymore. But I got a video too. I'm just waiting for it to pop on. Actually, two videos I did earlier. One is my top 10 greatest centers. That's the last video of the 5 for the 5 positions of 1 through 10 at point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and now I'm going to do the centers, which I already did it. I'm just waiting for YouTube to put it on. That'll complete video 5 of 5 for the 5 positions. And then and I kind of learned that well, not so much learned, but after doing the video, that the center position is probably the most depth position out of all 5 positions as far as the greatness of the players that are there, 1 through 10. You know, don't get me wrong, all 5 positions got nothing but superstars and stars there, but I just feel that the center position has more of the greatest all-time greatest players, because you got Olajuwon, you got Shaq, you got Wilt Chamberlain, you got Kareem and Bill Russell that are there, plus Patrick Ewing, plus David Robinson, plus Moses Malone. You know, so it was a hell of a position. And then yeah, thanks Double J, James Jameson, for stopping by. Catch those videos later when they drop. Appreciate you stopping in. And then I did a one on a tag team that wasn't too liked at first. They were very stiff, and they became 2 dominant forces in 2 dominant promotions at the time. You guys will find out who it is. Some of you guys might already know. They were bodybuilders when they first came in. One of them's passed away. One of them's still around. I believe he's still wrestling too in his 60s. Yeah, I'm gonna close out too. But yeah, if anybody that watches this video later on, and you haven't already, sub, like, and share this channel at What It Do with Big Lou NFZR2, and definitely leave comments in the comment section of the video after it's posted. I answer back all the comments, and also, if you haven't already, please go sub, like, and share to the No Fly Zone Ricans. We haven't been on over there in a couple of weeks. There's been me being sick for those couple of weeks, and Nelson's taking care of some things, and Carlos also has been doing a few things. So we'll be getting back probably soon. If it's not this week, it'll be next week. But we appreciate everybody that's been patient with us at the No Fly Zone, and we will be coming back on And again, to anybody that's barely that watches this later and you haven't already, please sub, like, and share, and definitely comment on this channel. What to do with Big Lou, NFZR2, and at the No Fly Zone Weekends. With that being said, I appreciate everybody that stopped by today and spent a little bit of time with us here. This hour and 20 minutes. It was awesome. I appreciate it. As you guys already know, we appreciate each and every one of you guys for the support. And with that being said, Big Lou's going to tap on out. Enjoy your evening, peoples.